When you hear the words Groove Cruise, what do you guys think of? For me, it's community, over-the-top parties, legendary artists, and a family-like atmosphere that's created lifelong fans. I've always been fascinated by cruise ship festivals, and unfortunately, I have not had the privilege of attending one yet, but after countless stories from friends, I knew it was the right time to speak to a Groove Cruise member to learn more about the inner workings of these events, how they differ from music festivals on land, and what they've done to cultivate such an incredible culture for their fans. So you guys picked a good one to listen to. Sit back, break out the tissues, because this one's going to put you in your feels a little bit. Hey there, welcome to Rave Culture Cast, a podcast dedicated to fans of EDM and music festival culture. My name is Ep173, a festival fanatic and dance music enthusiast who turned my passion for raving into an online career working with some of the biggest names in the industry. Festival tips, advice, hot topics, industry news, music, and more are all discussed here. Think of me as your unofficial rave mom, here to help you navigate the EDM community and festival world. Tune in every Wednesday for your weekly dose of peace, love, unity, and respect. All right, fam, welcome back to Rave Culture Cast, your weekly guide to the EDM community, music festivals, and more. I'm your host, Ep173. Today, we have a special episode for you guys, and we are going to be diving into the wild world of cruise ship festivals, specifically Groove Cruise and Whet Travel, which is actually the world's premier music cruise company. So you guys are going to hear from John Porrata, otherwise known as Skeeter, today, who has been with the company for many, many years. He's going to share some amazing stories with you guys and just try to capture even a little bit of the essence of what you will get in person. But before we get into that, you guys, I want to share a quick message from the sponsor of today's episode, Keen. So some of you guys might know that I am super into spirituality. I absolutely love doing tarot card readings. I pull my cards almost every day, and I've gone to a few psychics in my lifetime. So I'm super excited to introduce today's sponsor, Keen. Keen is an online platform that you can use that connects you with a variety of different readers, astrologers, psychics, tarot card readers, and so much more. So how it works is you can have a specific question in mind. If you have a question about your love life or your career or where you're going to be in a couple years, or you just want general advice, you want to find direction in your life or answers, or you simply want to just get a general reading, you can head to my link, trykeen.com/RCC, to get your first 10 minutes for only $1.99, which is up to a $99 savings total, you guys. So click the link in my description, trykeen.com/RCC, to start browsing readers, checking out their ratings, seeing who you would like to use, and then you get your first 10 minutes for just $1.99. And again, that's up to $99 in savings, you guys. So definitely go check out their services. It's a really cool thing. If you guys are super into spirituality like me, you can find a lot of answers that you're looking for. So try it out. Let me know what you think. And again, thank you, Keen, for sponsoring today's episode. Today, we are diving into the world of Groove Cruise. So Skeeter is going to come on to talk to you all about what it's like to work for cruise ship festivals, how they've put things together over the years, what the culture is like, what activities they offer. We also talk about how they curate their lineup, because their lineup is very special. So you guys are getting all the tea today. It's an amazing episode, and hopefully some of you get to attend Groove Cruise very soon. They have their upcoming sailing in Cabo, and then they have their sailing in January going to Haiti, and it's coming out of Miami. So sit back, relax, and enjoy this episode, you guys.
Thanks for having me.
Awesome. Well, we can definitely hop right in. I mean, I'm super excited to have John here on the podcast, you guys. Today we're going to be chatting about a fan favorite. I feel like, a cult classic, if you could say, Groove Cruise, with two upcoming sailings. We've got Cabo coming up, and then we have Miami in January. So today we're kind of going to dive into the history of the event, John's involvement with Groove Cruise, and then just chatting about what makes it such a unique experience for fans, and so much more. So thank you, John Porrata, for joining the podcast.
Awesome. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, go ahead.
I was going to say, just for easing into it. You can call me Skeeter. That's what everyone else
Skeeter.
calls
Okay.
me.
Perfect, perfect. No, I love it. I've definitely heard of the infamous Skeeter, by the way, from all of my friends who have attended Groove Cruise. You guys can tell I'm a newbie. No, but thank you for coming on here. I was gonna ask to start like how your summer was overall, but then I realized it's already September 27th somehow, and so how was your September?
September was busy. Obviously with Cabo right around the
Mhm.
corner. We released the Miami lineup and already planning for 2024. So
Jeez.
there is no off season for us. We go from one event to the next event, and we're already planning the next event after that. So it's
Oh my gosh.
constant flowing system, if you will.
Right. How many people are working with you on your team?
So internally as Wet Travel, and it blows everyone's mind, there's only about, I would say there's less than 10 of us, truthfully.
Wow. Okay.
We're a very small team, but we obviously have our event specific team, which can range anywhere from 30 to 100 different people in
Mhm.
various positions.
That's so crazy. Yeah, I was gonna say, I mean, it never surprised me just working in the festival industry, knowing like how much power comes out of a small team. But I think for a lot of people who listen, there's obviously dance music fans, but also people who I think are really interested in like the inner workings of festivals and how they're organized. And a lot of people, I get messages of like wanting to work in this industry as well. So I think it's cool just to give them like a behind the scenes look of actually what goes into everything. But just to get started, I'd love to know a little bit more about your background as well. Like what is your background in? What made you want to get involved in like the live event space and kind of how did you end up here?
So I kind of ended up here by accident.
Yeah.
Um, Obviously, while I was in college, I got a good job, realized I hated regular jobs. So I ended up promoting, local college nights, doing different bar events, and met an interesting group of people, and we started, just taking over different venues and bringing our groups of people from, our fraternity and sorority connections, and realized that you can actually make a living throwing parties. It was like a
Mm-hmm.
real Van Wilder experience, if you will. So we decided to keep doing that throughout college. And, then came the infamous time to graduate. Everyone tells you to, go get a real job.
Mm-hmm.
We did that. And that lasted for about a year and a half. And, we got right back into it. So, we
Mm-hmm.
started learning various parts of the industry. We picked up some cameras, try to do our own little college tour, following college game day around, giving away music festival tickets. And
Nice.
eventually I ended up going more towards the music route. So I started
Mm-hmm.
DJing myself. Then I realized that I was more social. So I wanted to become, the behind the scenes guy. So I started working with some other artists locally and was getting them bookings around at these different bars and venues. I ended up opening up a college bar with some people I had met, and that kind of just started from there. And I realized that planning events was a lot more fun than everything.
Yeah.
So I set off. I did that for about a year and a half, and then I just kind of went around working different various gigs from photo, video, merch, artist relations, artist hospitality, transportation, just kind of learning every
Mm,
in and out of the industry. So at any time, anything that did pop up, I had experience in every aspect of it.
right.
Um, yeah, so that's kind of, it was just a happy accident that turned into a career.
That's amazing. Do you think it's helpful to like, do you look back now at just like where you're at in your career? Was it helpful to have like touch all those different aspects of the industry because it gives you a better understanding of like how other people run their jobs?
It's a blessing and a curse because
Mm,
you know a lot, so you tend to want to get
right.
involved with every aspect of it. But when you reach a certain point, you need to learn to kind of let go,
Hmm.
and let the people you hire to do it. And I'm always gonna love like artist hospitality and artist relations is always gonna be like the near and dear to my heart. That's like I
Hmm.
really owe a lot of my career to that particular region of my experience. And yeah, I think that it is good to know all those avenues, but it's
Hmm.
also really good to specialize in one particular field. Like, I wish I
Sure.
knew a lot more about production than I
Hmm.
do. I know enough to get by, but production was
Right.
always another one that I always wanted to explore, but never got a chance to.
Okay. Yeah, and I think sometimes I don't know if you feel this way, but I feel like by actually like doing the things and doing the different jobs, like sometimes you learn more about what you don't want to do, which is helpful because then it actually will help point you in the direction of where you want to go. Because I remember in college doing a couple internships in the magazine industry because I was so dead set on being in the magazine industry at the time, and I did
Hmm.
like a photo internship, and I was like, absolutely hate it, the photo side of things. And I was like, cool,
Yep.
now I know I need to go on the art and design side of things. And it helped solidify that decision. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
there's
it's
definitely doing a little bit of everything. You definitely learn what you don't
hmm
like really
yeah,
quickly. And there's just
yeah.
things where it's like, all right, you have this list and you look at the list and you're like, okay, I really like doing that. So I'm gonna do that first. And then just the
hmm
stuff you don't like just kind of gets put on the back burner and eventually you got to buckle down and do it. But yeah, I agree with you
Yeah.
100%. Doing as much as you do and learning every aspect of it, you also can learn what in the industry you don't want to do, and that's
hmm
perfectly fine.
Right. And I mean, you found your way to like a really incredible community, which is awesome to see. And I want to preface this by saying I think my community knows I haven't attended a Groove Cruise yet, but I wanted to cover it just because I've just heard such good things from friends who have attended, and a lot of them are like lifelong. They don't just attend one, right?
Mhm.
They've been coming back year after year after year.
Yes,
And with the upcoming sailings, I'm like, this is just so interesting to me. So, how did you actually end up on the Groove Cruise team?
another accident.
Yeah.
Life's full of accidents. It's
Yeah.
like a Bob Ross painting. Like just make a little accident, make it a tree.
Yeah.
So no, a really good friend of mine, Michelle. She was doing marketing at the time here, and I was just getting back from a couple of things that I was working on, and um, just was like, "Hey, do you want to come on Group Cruise?" I was like,
Mm,
"Sure, why not?" I was like, work a few hours a day helping out in artist relations, and
hmm
get to go on a cruise for 4 days. So I was like, "Yeah, I'm there. Let's do
Right.
it." Little did I know that my short shifts were not going to be short shifts at all, due to
Right.
some things that had happened, which is like one thing that no one ever tells you is when you go into when you switch from land festivals to ocean festivals,
hmm
it's not as
Right.
easy as replacing somebody, calling in a favor, replacing gear, making a quick phone
Mm,
call, run into a CVS, run into a Walgreens. Um,
right. Yep.
so my very first ever experience with Groove Cruise was, I came in, did artist hospitality. At the time, our VP of operations now, she was doing hospitality, and
hmm
I think like out of the 10 of us that was doing hospitality, nine of them got seasick. Um,
Oh, jeez.
so, it ended up like, I was helping her with longer shifts. Obviously back then with volunteers that we had, not all of them were always the most dependable. So like they weren't showing up
hmm
for shifts, things like that. So here I was, my first cruise with everyone. I don't even know who Jason is at this point.
Right.
But I'm just literally in it with Lisa, and we're making these riders. I'm filling in artist relations, going to each stage and just kind of like putting my hands everywhere. Um, and it was at that point in time that I realized that like this was awesome. It was a great experience. But just the team itself, we have such a small team, but it is truly a family. And
hmm
the really interesting thing that I always like to preference on these is that every one of the C-level staff, we all
hmm
started as volunteers. Lisa and Karen, Lisa's our VP of operations. She literally does everything on the ship,
hmm
from production to talking with the cruise lines, customs, like just she does an amazing job.
That's awesome.
It's just incredible what she does. And she started off as a volunteer, kind of, did captain support, which is we call all of
hmm
um, our attendees captains because they're what steer the ship.
hmm
So she started off captain support, then did artist hospitality, then did operations, and now she's our VP of
Yeah.
operations. And Karen, very similar path. She started off in captain support, became our VP of captain support, and they've been with Jason for, I think we did the math. It's like over 10 years for them, and I'm about to go
Wow.
into my 7th year with them. So it's
That's
just a really
amazing.
cool, just kind of tells you like kind of our core dynamic. Most of us are
Mm-hmm.
lifers. We
Right.
naturally gravitate towards Jason. He's just an incredible human being. Everything that he does and what he creates is just on another level. And,
Mm-hmm.
we're just happy to be a part of it.
Oh, that's
So yeah, that
awesome.
was my very first experience, just kind of slipped into it. And then it ended up with, Lisa contacted me and like, hey, we have this other cruise in March. Do you want to come? And I'm like, yep,
Yeah.
sure. I'm not I have nothing planned for March other than Winter Music Week, which
Mm-hmm.
was, a couple weeks, or it was like a week before. So I was like, okay, yeah, no worries. Like, I'll do it. And, Lisa unfortunately had an emergency and wasn't able to attend. So here I was, like, thrown into the gauntlet. Like, and this was
Oh
kind of
my
like
God.
my first forte into the artist hospitality, like from start to finish, my second sailing ever with
Mm-hmm.
them. And one of our core values for the company is sink or swim, and it was a real sink or swim moment for me. And I don't
Love
think
that.
we've looked back since. I became the hospitality manager and built my team that I have now. I'm
Mm-hmm.
blessed to say that I have the same artist relations and hospitality team for the last, I think we're going on year 4 or 5 with some of them. Um,
Wow.
and we built this, powerhouse of a team, and confident to say that like year over year they return and we do an amazing thing. We continuously grow, and yeah, it's kind of how it all started, was just hopping on the boat,
Yeah.
volunteering, and the rest is history.
Yeah, I don't know if it's accidents or if it was just like, what do you want to say? Synchronicities or the universe just pointing you in the right direction, but that's
it's
a
it's really,
testament.
you'll see when you come on Groove Cruise and you
Yeah.
talk to Jason. Jason has like this natural gravitation towards him, and I feel like a lot of the people that come into his life, and like even into like our life, it's all meant to
Mm-hmm.
happen, and it's crazy, but it's like
Mm-hmm.
it's meant to happen. And I think like,
Yeah,
it was, everything aligned, and here I am,
that's
still with them.
amazing. It's such a testament though to the company because I think that just like internally also reflects externally, like with how your captains come back. By the way, the branding with the sink or swim, so fucking on point. I love that you guys have all that. That's so dope. I feel like for your applications in the future for the volunteers, it's got to say like cannot get seasick for the love of. I can't even imagine how many people you must get
Not many
that
people get
happens to.
seasick. I think that particular one, it
Yeah,
was a little rough.
right.
But yeah, for the most part, you really don't feel it. It's
Oh
You
man.
get sea legs
Oh.
pretty quickly.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay, so now I guess like obviously, like you said, you're already planning for 2 years down the line or a year and a half down the line from now. But I guess leading up to the event, what does your job entail? And then on the actual sailing itself, like how does that change? What does your day to day look like?
So on a company side, obviously Group Cruise is only a part of what our company is. We are Wet Travel, so we our
Mm-hmm.
main company is Wet Travel, so we kind of specialize in group and charter events. So Group Cruise is only one of our events that we do. So
Mm-hmm.
on a day-to-day basis, I am the managing director. So I do handle all of our day-to-day operations for the business, from marketing, finance, all of our artists, all of the artist stuff, handle merch and a few other things.
Mm-hmm.
Just kind of making sure that, on the day-to-day side, everything runs
Yeah.
smoothly. And in terms of on the ship, so on the ship, I'm obviously still doing my day-to-day role, but I'm also in charge of the artist hospitality and artist relations team. So making sure that all the
Mm-hmm.
artists are well hydrated and
Mm-hmm.
having a good time, and just making sure that like our branding's on point, that our photo, video, content teams are, where they need to be, that merch is selling well, and that
Mm-hmm.
we have stock on the things that people like, and making sure that we can order things that we've sold out of. A lot of times we sell
Sure.
out stuff on the first night, and we try to open it up to reorder it, but by the time we get back, we can send it out.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but yeah, it's pretty much the gist of it.
Yeah, keeping busy. I was gonna say this is like an insane time for you to come on too, just because I know you have the next cruise coming up. But
Yeah.
can for anyone, even like myself, who hasn't attended a wet travel event or been on a groove cruise experience before, can you sort of describe the atmosphere as best that you can?
That's always such a loaded question. And I think like even if when you asked Elaine when you interviewed her and just like other people that
Hmm.
you ever asked, like to describe Groove Cruise is it's hard because it's something that you have to experience. It's not something that
Hmm.
could be told to you. Because I can spend all day talking about my experience with Groove Cruise and, you know, what I feel about it, but until you
Hmm.
actually experience it, those are just words.
Right.
So what I would say is that it is probably one of the it's the most intimate experience you can get with a community that knows nothing other than love and
Hmm.
just embraces the experiential side of things. And it's literally, I don't know where else in the world you can literally be 10 feet away from some of your favorite artists and, be able to maybe share a
Right.
slice of pizza with someone. And everyone that comes on Guru Cruise, the reason why we have the retention rate we do is everyone is so welcoming. You can
Hmm.
literally, I don't think there's a person that sits down at a restaurant and eats by themselves. Because when someone
Hmm.
sees someone eating by themselves, you literally will see like a group of people like, hey, come sit with us,
Yeah.
or, hey, can I sit down with you? Like, hey, where are you from? There's always just so many pleasant conversations. And there are people that have actually gone alone and are now
Hmm.
part of these huge, like, GC fam meetups that they like travel around the entire country, going to different music festivals, and
Right.
it's just like such an amazing like culture and community that we have, and
Sure.
it's unlike anything else. So yeah,
Yeah.
it's I could talk about it all day, but until you experience it, they're just words.
No, no, thank you. No, thank you for describing that. I was going to say it's difficult to capture that feeling. You just have to do it. But I know like just from watching friends vlogs and things like that and like seeing the after movies, like it's awesome to see like what you're able to capture from the events and even just seeing like the curated events that you're putting together. And I've you brought up before, which is an interesting topic about like some of the things that could go wrong or like you're not able to just like run to the store to grab something like once you're
Hmm.
on the sailing there's like only so much you can do. The artist aspect of it I do think is so interesting because like you said like once you take off you're all there together, like you're not really leaving. So I think that is such a cool element of just being able to like walk around the ship and like bump into people and have conversations, which I think is really special. But is there anything else that comes up for you that you could describe between like what would make a cruise ship festival versus like a regular festival, like any other differences that you would say?
Yeah, I mean, I would say that just ultimately, the fact that it's 24 hours, like it's truthfully 24
Mm-hmm.
hours for the entire time you're on the cruise. So Cabo, for example, is 120 hours. And if you take into
Oh
account the
yeah.
pre-party before, and then that fact that we'll have music in the terminal being played, it's going to be longer than the 120 hours.
Mm-hmm.
But on the cruise ship itself, it's 120 hours of nonstop music across 9 different stages, and at this point, I think we're well over 100 artists.
Mm-hmm.
It's so insane, and I don't know anywhere else that you're going to be able to go and see some of these sets from artists that will probably have never played a set like this at a regular festival.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Because they have one set, and it's if they're on the
Mm-hmm.
main stage, they're expected to play a main stage set. If they're,
Yeah.
somewhere else, they're expected to. So this one is they have usually they play at least 2 sets. Some play more, some will do a pop up. I mean, we had last year for Orlando, Claude wanted to play in the casino, and he
Yeah.
literally popped up in the casino for almost and I think it was like 4 or 5 hours. You just never
That's
know. There's just
insane.
insane back to backs that you would never expect to happen. They're like a trance artist with a techno artist, and they're playing like just deep
That's
house
so
music
dope.
together. Like you just never know what to expect. And I think that like being on Groove Cruise specifically, it's we're always about, you know, just new experiences, and you never know
Mm-hmm.
what's going to happen. you never know that, John Summit and Dombreski and all these other guys are going to do a crazy back to
Mm-hmm.
back at the pool stage at 5 o'clock in the morning. Like you just don't know
Right.
that. So it's like the anticipation of just like walking around like, oh my God, who's playing where are the sets at, where,
You're right. What could
who could pop
happen?
up where. And that kind of just like, and there's not many other, you can't like at a land festival, you have
Mm-hmm.
logistics. You get a hotel room or you camp. You get an Uber, you drive, or you walk.
Mm-hmm.
Um, to get food, you wait in line, and
Mm-hmm.
do vend in. With Groove Cruise, you're a 5 minute walk to your hotel room, or
Mm-hmm.
sorry, not a hotel
Yeah.
room.
Yeah.
5 minute walk to
Cabin.
your stateroom,
Yeah.
and you can shower as many times as you want. 24/7 food. I mean, the buffet is,
That's
it's
so
the
dope.
main dining's open. The buffets dining are open. It's just you get anything you want. Depending on who you ask. Like if you ask Jason, his favorite food is Indian on cruise ships, and a lot of
Nice.
people don't realize that you can go into the main dining room and literally eat steak and lobster 3 times a day if you wanted to.
Yeah.
It's unlimited dining. If you want steak and
Yeah.
lobster, you want 4 steaks and 3 lobsters, you can request it. It's included. Um,
Right.
so I guess just that kind of aspect of it, that the fact that food's included, that your room is included, that just this intimate experience with some of these artists, you're literally 20 feet away from them while they're playing some of their sets. We try to
Mm-hmm.
build every stage as intimate as possible with the highest production value, obviously, because everyone wants, the lights, the lasers, the
Mm-hmm.
oohs and the ahs. But we still want to create that sense of intimacy and that magic that you are there experiencing this
Right.
once in a lifetime bucket list experience with the artists themselves. Um,
That's
and
so
then
cool. Yeah.
another
Love it.
kind of like the last major one is the fact that we do these artist activities. So each artist does, in fact,
Mm-hmm.
participate in some of the most outlandish activities that we can come up with. And most of the time, it's
Right.
their ideas. Roger Sanchez and Kristen Knight did a actual tequila crawl where they crawled across the entire ship taking shots of tequila. Um, Trivecta, we did a hot wings challenge on Orlando, and we tried to get
Oh,
him to tap
geez.
out, and he didn't tap out. So this year we're doing it's like a 7 alarm pizza, and it's gonna have all different types of
Oh my
peppers, and the
gosh.
closer you get inside of it, the hotter the pepper gets. So I mean, I'm coming for you, Sam.
Yeah. Dangerous. Yeah. Wow. Damn. That's so sick. I mean, the entire experience, like you described, I love that element of just like surprise. And I know I was watching my friend Jess living by the F word. She's like a Groove
Yeah.
Cruise fan member. And she had a clip in her vlog, which is how I was introduced to deep fake because they were just like literally walking down the stairs, like playing music until they like found a location, just like walking around. And I just think that element is just so cool to be able to just see everything. And even on the cruise ship, like just from seeing the different stages that you guys build, like each kind of has its own vibe depending on whether you're inside the cruise or you're on the top of the pool deck as well.
Yep.
Do you have a favorite location on the sailings that you like to be in the most?
My bed. No.
Yeah.
um, so yeah, I mean, honestly, I like just going around, and I mean, I don't know, this past cruise, the casino really did pop off. Like the casino was probably my
Yeah.
favorite venue on this last one. I mean, you don't even know what to expect in the casino, and casino, as crazy as it seems, has become like, the artist's favorite. Like
Mhm.
it's unlike anything else that we have. But yeah, I don't have a favorite stage. I think they're all unique in their own way.
Mhm.
Each of them tell their own different, have their own different elements of production to them. The pool stage and the theater stage are definitely where we put most of our efforts in, and it's
Mhm.
always cool to see how these ideas of these stages just come to life, and seeing them in person it's just, it's kind of like breathtaking when you finally see it in real life, and you've been looking at this drawing for
Mhm.
6, 7, 8 months, and it's like, okay, like what's it going to
Yeah.
look like when it gets built? Like the drawing looks great,
Right.
but what's it going to look like when it gets built? And seeing it for the first time turned on, and seeing the smiles on everyone's faces, it's just, it's
Mhm.
unlike anything that, you could put into words.
Hey fam, just a quick reminder that Slumberland Music Festival is coming up in just a few weeks. It is going down November 10th through the 13th in Orlando, Florida at the Avanti Palms. For those of you who don't know, this is a premier hotel and shuttle takeover. So if you plan on attending EDC Orlando, you can stay at Slumberland, hang out with myself and all these other ravers, and then get shuttled to EDC. They're going to be doing all kinds of activities around the clock, plus having pool parties and after parties with an incredible lineup of house and techno and bass artists. So if you guys want to join myself and the Rave Culture Cast community, you can use our family discount code EMMAK. That will save you $10 off every item in your cart. Plus, on top of that, we are going to have a dedicated floor with our community and the Lunchbox fam. So we will all be staying together on the same floor, which is awesome. We're going to do an exclusive family meetup for our two communities together as well. Plus, you get the discount code, and we can all just hang out at Slumberland all weekend and then go to EDC together. So it's going to be an amazing time, you guys. Don't forget to book your room and shuttle packages. You can also just book a weekend party pass as well. If you don't want to stay there, you can still attend all of the events. So don't forget to use code EMMAK at checkout, and I will see you guys at Slumberland. Yeah. Can we chat a little bit too about the lineup curation just in general? Because I think what sets Groovers apart a lot of the time too is just obviously you have a mix of genres, but I love the emphasis that you put on trance. I mean, obviously I'm a house and techno fan, so you have a lot of that as well. But how do you find a balance between the kind of like the resident artists who you have who come back every year that people like look forward to, and then, you know, obviously your bigger headliners, and then more of like the up and coming? Like, how do you guys strike a balance and go about your lineup curation?
That's a great question. So first and foremost, like it kind of goes back to what I said earlier. Like, one of our core values for the company is captains first. Everything that
Mm-hmm.
we do, we always ask for our community's input. They're what steer the ship. They help us pick the destination, the ship, what lineup we're gonna have. So I put a lot of emphasis and do a lot of research based on what those surveys come back with.
Mm-hmm.
I personally read every single survey that we get back. We have about an 80% response rate on our surveys. So
Wow.
that's a lot of people. This last one, I
Yeah.
think we had like 1,700 responses.
Wow.
And I mean, yeah, I personally read every single one of them. Us as a team, we go through every single one of them. But I particularly always, look at the lineup question in detail.
Mm-hmm.
Who you enjoyed on the ship, who would you want to have come back, who would
Mm-hmm.
you like to see on the ship? Um, and obviously everyone wants to see the biggest artists on the ship.
Mm-hmm.
But what's always curious is that a lot of times the smaller artists are the ones who get highlighted a lot as well.
Mm-hmm.
So I take all of that data and basically put together a lineup wish list based on all of the wants,
Mm-hmm.
likes, and you know if somebody, for example, likes big artist A, which
Mm-hmm.
artists are going to play like that person and who is on a trajectory to, be as big, if not bigger than that person in a few
Right.
years. And that's kind of like the fun part of curating a lineup is it's not who the people know. It's who the
Mm-hmm.
people, who you want to introduce everyone to. And I
Right.
think that's one thing that we do a really good job of is, I mean, if you look at our Orlando lineup, for example, our
Mm-hmm.
Orlando lineup we built during COVID. Some of them were carried over from the event we had to postpone. Um,
Mm-hmm.
but by the time Orlando happened, that lineup was huge. Like everyone knew
Mm-hmm.
everyone on that lineup. And it's kind of being able to know that and just, really look into all the research and, ask the captains, who who did you go to a festival and who did you see? That's ultimately boots on the ground. I want to know who you saw at the 3 o'clock slot, you know,
Yeah. Yeah.
early in the day that just blew you away. Like those are the ones I want to know. And you mentioned Deepfake. Deepfake was one that, during COVID they did
Mm-hmm.
a live stream for us and I was like absolutely blown away by their performance. I was like, okay,
Yeah.
you know what? These guys belong on group cruise.
Mm-hmm.
And we've developed a great relationship with them. They're great guys. And, now they're one of our residents. They come back every year,
Mm-hmm.
and just kind of building those relationships. You look at our lineups, we have a lot of those core favorites that, obviously come back every single year. And, we, really look at the captain's feedback for that.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so the hard part is not necessarily deciding who is on the lineup. It's actually how
Yeah.
to put it all together. So that's where it comes in. Is there enough techno being on
Mm-hmm.
the lineup? Is there enough house on the lineup? Is there enough trance on the lineup? We recently introduced, melodic bass to it. So it's like,
Mm-hmm.
okay, who in that is, who do we want to introduce? Who do we want to start building this relationship with? And,
Right.
is there enough of that? So when you have 9 stages over 5 days, 120 hours, and 100 artists,
Mm-hmm.
you got to kind of find balance. Is there house music being played? And people that don't like house music, is there trance being played? Is people that don't like house or trance, is there another
Yeah.
genre being played? So we try to get it like a really balance, which is why it takes us so long to get our schedule
Mm-hmm.
out. Um,
Yeah.
which we're almost done with for the Cabo one, and then we'll start on Miami. But it's just making sure
Yeah.
that everyone has, their favorites, and it's also placing, the ones that
Mm-hmm.
people may not know. It's like you may see a name and think they're not a techno name, but they probably play some fire
Mm-hmm.
techno, and they're
Right.
gonna do it on Group Cruise. So it's kind of exciting. It's exciting to put together the lineup. It's exciting to read all the comments afterwards when we do the launches. We just did our Miami launch
Mm-hmm.
2 weeks
Fire.
ago.
So good. Yep.
Thank you. Yeah, there's a lot of new names on there, and yeah, it's just, I would say it's the funnest, hardest thing that I do, that we
Right.
do with what we do with Group Cruise, is just making sure that like we have every aspect of it covered, and
Mm-hmm.
that they're all going to get along, and that, they're
Yeah.
going to want to be a part of the event and be a part of the community. There's that common core balance where, like, are they going to want to be involved with the fans? Do they have a fan
Mm-hmm.
base? Do they, want to be part of the experience versus, flying in, playing a set, and then leaving?
Flying out. Yeah.
Um, so yeah, that's kind of all that goes into the lineup. It's a lot.
Yeah. No, thank you for explaining that. I think it's helpful for people to hear. Like, this is why, guys, the complaints about the set times, there's so much that goes into everything behind the scenes that you don't know about. But I was going to say that about the artists, because even with Deepfake, I know they had like a community meetup at ARC, which was really cool. But on the flip side for them, like if they're more of an upcoming artist, or like maybe they're in the undercard and not the main headlining spot, the community that they'll build on Groove Cruise that they'll then take away with them to the shows that they'll
Mhm.
play throughout the year, like is going to be so rewarding to them as well, because they will have this like intimate connection. So
Yeah,
it's
we had
also going to
one
be such an honor for
artist.
them to play.
That's funny you mentioned that, because we had one artist who we booked for Orlando, and she had never done Group Cruise before,
Mm-hmm.
and we ran into her a few months afterwards, and her and her manager were telling us like, yeah, we had a bunch of GC fans show up at our set, and like some of them were saying they flew in from like different
Oh,
parts of the
wow.
country to see her play, and it's like,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, that's the GC fam. Like we are
Yeah.
like they support the artists, like we support the artists. That's one of the things I think that really separates us from other,
Mm-hmm.
events, is that we don't look at the artists as just like, they're a part of the event. Like we make them a part of the family. We
Mm-hmm.
support all of their releases. We support their tours. We support all their initiatives. Even if it doesn't directly involve us, we want to watch them
Mm-hmm.
grow. We want them to be, successful in life, and we're here for it. It makes us excited
Mm-hmm.
in seeing the growth. And there's a lot of artists that we've booked and have developed these relationships with that, I'm beyond elated when I see them doing headline tours now. And it's just like, wow,
Mm-hmm.
it's like, we're so proud of them. And like, we'll always support that. Our marketing team's really good at looking at their new releases and making sure that we're posting about them.
Mm-hmm.
Even if they're not
That's
on the
awesome.
event, they're part of the family forever. So
Right. That's so cool. I love that, seeing that relationship. And I know Elaine highlighted this when we chatted, but I also wanted to ask, just while we're on the topic of artists, I know you guys have the Whet Foundation, and she was mentioning about some of the charitable efforts that you guys do. So I know
Mhm.
I'm curious what you guys are doing in Cabo, but can you share a little bit about the Whet Foundation and what you guys do for disaster relief in some of the communities that the sailings take place in?
Yeah, so Wet Foundation was started by Jason. There's always been a charitable component of Groove Cruise. I feel like so essentially he didn't think that the money was getting to the end user, so he decided to
Mm-hmm.
create his own foundation, which was the birth of Wet Foundation and Destination Donation. Which whenever we would go to a cruise port, we'd always try to leave it a little bit better than it was, whether it was going to an orphanage, playing with the kids, bringing backpacks and school supplies,
Mm-hmm.
cleaning up a, like a landfill essentially so they could build a
Mm-hmm.
playground, donating an air condition. So we always like to find out what the actual initiative needs, so that
Mm-hmm.
we can raise money for it and bring it to them. Um,
Nice.
so two parts to that is I can go into essentially with the disaster relief that we did for COVID.
Mm-hmm.
Um, man, COVID.
Yeah.
That was a big one. We obviously were dead in the water, pun intended.
Mm-hmm.
The cruise ships were the first ones to be laid up.
Mm-hmm.
Um, then music industry kind of just shut down.
Yep.
So, we were kind of left in a boat without an oar, if you will,
Mm-hmm.
and really needed to pivot fast. Um, as most entertainment companies, we did have layoffs, and we went through that and ran just pretty much on love for the company and the event itself.
Mm-hmm.
So a few of us stayed on in a limited role, and one day we came across with this idea. It was like, okay, well, we have Wet Foundation.
Mm-hmm.
Let's pivot that and let's give back to our community. And how can we do that?
Mm-hmm.
So we partnered up with a couple of different companies and created the first ever virtual group cruise. We
Mm-hmm.
called it the Virtual Sail Away. We partnered with Twitch. Our one of our creative directors on our production side of it, he pretty much taught everyone how to stream. And
Mm-hmm.
the one thing that really was crazy, and I still to this day don't believe that we ever did this, but we were doing it live. Like it was live.
Mm-hmm.
So from Thursday night to, I mean, if Doc Brown was playing on Sunday night, we were ending around Tuesday morning. We did these actual virtual group cruises, and we had, you know, 24 hours of music each day.
Mm-hmm.
And it was just, we did after hours like we normally would. We did themes. We did the first couple of them. We did Zoom where everyone could get on Zoom and kind of chat.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there's nothing to do. There literally was
Yeah.
nothing to
Yep.
do. And um, it quickly got out of control. Like before we knew it,
Yeah.
we were getting, tens of thousands of views. And for us, like we're a small event. Like we only do 2,000 to 3,000 people at a time. So
Mm-hmm.
when you have 100,000 people watching your live stream, it's like,
Mm-hmm.
what? Like, is this real right now? Um,
Yep.
so we did four of those, and we were able to raise about $55,000 in total.
Mm-hmm.
And we had about 400 grants that we fulfilled. So dollar for dollar, everything that came in went right back out. And we had a Wet Foundation board who would read all of these, grant applications and responses,
Yeah.
and just, you know, being able to give back to our community for the first time,
Mm-hmm.
really, directly into our community, the artists, the production teams, gig workers, our community themselves. We have a lot of, people in the service industry and hotel and hospitality industry. So like being able to help them, like even just pay their cell phone bill or, go grab some groceries for their family.
Mm-hmm.
It was really, really rewarding and just really stuck with me. And that kind of like the same thing with Wet Foundation in general. For anyone who's ever done a Wet Foundation trip, and Elaine is addicted to it, and I could
Mm-hmm.
see why. I've been a part of four of them now, and it's just It's honestly like, and you kind of get misty-eyed when you talk about it. It's just honestly
Hmm.
so rewarding because you literally don't know what you have until like you see
Hmm.
someone who has so much less. I mean,
Right.
watching like kids like being so grateful for like just a little ice cream or like
Hmm.
pencils or crayons, and
Hmm.
just being able to affect their lives like that. And it is something that's super powerful that like anyone on group cruise, a lot of, I would say 9 out of 10 people that go on the Wet Foundation trip actually say that
Hmm.
that is the best part of group cruise,
Yeah.
because it is something that you can't ever forget. It's such a
Yeah.
rewarding experience. So that's kind of like what leads us to,
Hmm.
unfortunately for Orlando, we weren't able to really do much. We did raise some money for Haiti, which we're going to in this January. We're going to Labadee, which is a private island in
Hmm.
Haiti. So we're going to be able to use some of the money we raised last year, and then we'll be raising this year as well, to go to one of the initiatives there. Um, but for Cabo, we actually are working with the Solomar Foundation and Hearts for Cabo. We're going to Casa Hogar,
Mm.
and we're going to be basically dealing with three different age groups. So we're going to be going with probably looking at around 70 to 100 volunteers, including artists.
Wow.
And we're going to donate school supplies. We're getting them a refrigerator. We're bringing some clothing. And yeah, we're going to bring some
Spend
speakers and
time.
have like a
Yeah.
little party with them. It's
That's
really
so
cool
cool.
because like we're going to be able to do like a little soccer tournament with them. We have two incredible artists. One is going to do like a mural. The other one's going to dress up in his,
Wow.
he's got like a little costume and he's making these coloring books for these kids. And, it's just so rewarding to see some of the stuff that, we're doing and that we're
Hmm.
just affecting. And yeah,
That's
it's amazing.
incredible.
It's amazing.
Thank you so much for sharing that. Yeah, I think I know it's like tricky to still talk about COVID because obviously like it just drastically affected everybody's lives. But one, just the attention that came through at that time on the virtual streams was, I don't know if we'll ever see that again. It was just insane to see like how many eyes were on the
Right.
DJ streams and things like that that were happening at the time. And can people still sign up for these volunteer trips? Like, how can people get involved even year round? Is there anything that they can do to
So we
participate?
are working on, yeah, now that things are kind of lifting again and, things are going in the
Hmm.
positive direction, we will, go back to doing our yearly initiatives. There's some stuff that
Cool.
I've always, Jason and I have discussed about doing stuff with like children's hospitals, doing like Secret Santas and like, fulfilling Christmas wishes, things like that. So we do want to kind of get into that aspect of Wet Foundation is actually running it year round versus just across the events. So there'll be
Hmm.
volunteer opportunities for that in the future. But as of now, for anyone that attends the event, they can volunteer at any time. We usually send the
Cool.
volunteer application once we have all the details for the trips. And, like I said, we end up usually getting about, I would say 50 to 70 signups. And then there's always the lingerers who like just happen to come across and like, oh, the big group of people, where are you guys going? And,
Hmm.
they kind of explain like, oh, I want to do that. Let me go to my room and change real quick. And I want to come.
Yeah.
Which is super cool because again, this is their vacation. A lot of people save year round for it. And just the fact that
Hmm.
they want to give a little bit of their time to these initiatives, it just goes to speak again of how our community is.
Yeah. Oh my God. No, I would 100% want to be signing up for something like that. I think just the perspective that you would gain, but you just don't get, that's another thing I would say, like, that's obviously so different from other events out there. Like, who else is having that kind of element and ability to sign up for something like that? So that makes it super special and kind of like rounding things back out here too, because I know I'm coming up on time with you. You've mentioned a couple highlights here and there, but I guess in general, any standout sets from you in the past and some of the craziest things you've seen previous
Ooh,
years?
Elaine tried to trip me up with this question too. Um, there are no standout sets because I remain
Fair enough.
impartial. Every set is amazing.
Okay.
Um, But I will say that the unexpected sets are always the fun ones.
Hmm.
You just never know what to expect. A trance artist might throw like the darkest techno set you've ever heard, and it's something that they
Hmm.
can't play because they're not known for that, and they wouldn't get booked for it.
Right.
Um, and just I would say the shenanigans that actually happen on Group Cruise are probably some of my favorite. You just never know. I mean, I don't know how many people have ever woken up to Green Velvet standing over them with a bottle of champagne
Yeah.
and at 3 o'clock in the morning because I fell asleep in the hospitality room.
Oh my
Um,
God.
it's just you never know what to expect, which is the most amazing part of Group Cruise is you expect the
Yeah.
unexpected, and no matter what, you're leaving with a good story. There's never a boring time. No one ever goes on Group
Yeah.
Cruise and is like, man, that event sucked. I was bored the entire
Yeah.
time.
No, no, no.
Um, there's always just conversations going on, and
I love
I
it.
would say that it's kind of cliche to say that like everything about Group Cruise is my favorite, but um, just the moments. If I had to pick a
Hmm.
favorite, is my favorite moment in my entire time with Group Cruise would have to be this past one in Orlando. And we
Hmm.
all had we call them the emotional moments. And mine was like standing on the pool deck as we were like sailing away, and it was just like, is this real life? I don't think any of us, like, we were coming out of COVID. Another spike in COVID literally happened right
Hmm.
before Group Cruise Orlando. Thank God we had no cases on board, which was another amazing feat to like walk away from. Um, but the moments, like we had our emotional moments where we literally just it was like in awe, like this is really happening. And mine was like standing on the pool deck. Jeffrey Sartorius was playing, and just watching everyone smile and laugh, and just like this is what they needed, and this is like something that we did, and we pushed and pushed and pushed and like tried to get to this moment, and that was the moment. So my favorite moment would have to be like having that moment on
Hmm.
Group Cruise Orlando, but just like we made it, like we got out of COVID, like I there was times where we didn't even think we'd ever be able to do this again.
Hmm.
It's just, yeah, it was just an emotional
You're
raw
gonna make me
moment.
cry. What the
Yeah, I
hell?
mean, it was just
It
so
is.
emotional and just so
Yeah.
raw. And it was just like I was stuck and I was on my way
Yeah.
somewhere. And the person I was with just kind of like shook me and they're like, yo, you good? And I'm like, yeah,
Yeah.
sorry. I was like, I just
I
got
needed
lost for a
to,
second. Yeah, I just needed a
yeah, take
moment.
that in. Wow. It is. It's so, I mean, I think I'm so glad you said that because I feel very similarly. It's as a fan, you have all of these experiences, but then being able to be on the flip side of it and like I'm like you, like I love being behind the scenes, and it's like cool that you get to be a part of creating these memories for people. It's such a rewarding experience to put together and like see all your hard
Yeah,
work and this like culmination of this sailing.
I
I'm so
think
excited for
that's
you
like
guys.
I think that's literally our favorite part too, is like, yeah, like all the hustle and bustle, all the headaches, all the turmoil, all the things that could go wrong, all the things that go right. At the
Hmm.
end of the day, everything that keeps moving us forward are the captains, and just ev- everything could go wrong the entire
Right.
time leading up to the cruise. We can fight, we can, have issues, we can like, you know, just everything could be bad. But like just walking in that terminal on embarkation day and just seeing the first smile and then the next
Hmm.
smile and just the tears. People are reuniting for like the first time in months. They've been planning this for all their like internet relationships turning into real relationships,
Hmm.
and just friendships turning into families, and just memories that last for a lifetime. It's just all those moments, and you look back and you don't think of everything that went wrong leading to that moment.
Hmm.
Is you're like, wow, everything happened for this reason. And that's kind of
Hmm.
what drives each and every one of us, is that we do this all for our captains. Like everything that we go
Hmm.
through, everything that we do, they're the heart and soul of the event. They're the only reason why we're still here. I mean,
Right.
they're the only reason why we're still here. And
Hmm.
if we didn't have that community, yeah, getting misty eyed again. If we didn't
Yeah.
have that community, you know, we wouldn't be here. So that's kind
Right.
of ultimately what my favorite
Mm-hmm.
thing about planning the event is that seeing their faces. It's like I guess I would be kind of like the equivalent to being a parent and like
Right.
seeing their kids' faces on Christmas morning, like
Yeah.
like Santa came, like I guess Jason Santa in this instance, and we're the elves.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
um, so I
That's
guess
the
it's just like
best.
seeing everyone's face, group cruise
Mm-hmm.
morning and seeing
Yeah.
Jason Claus what he brought.
Yeah, the GC fam is very strong. I'm excited to see like their reaction to this episode and just hearing their feedback. And my last question before I let you go, just because you will be the right person to ask for those who are about to attend either Cabo or Miami coming up, any survival tips or things that they should know if they haven't done a cruise ship event, like not just the basic stuff, but things they should think about before they attend.
Buckle up, Buttercup.
Yeah.
No, eat. That's probably the one thing people forget to do is eat. Like there's
Mhm.
24-hour food. Grab a slice of pizza, grab a hot dog, grab a burger, grab a handful of fries. My favorite combination is pizza and fries.
Mm.
They're quick, easy finger foods. Walk, eat,
Yep.
talk. Um, you know, the FOMO is probably like the one thing I would say that everyone thinks they get at festivals. Like, headliner A is playing against headliner B. Like, you have to run back and
Hmm.
forth to catch a little bit of each set. You really don't get to enjoy it. Every artist will play at least two sets, and that's kind of like why we kind of structure it that way. They'll play on different days. So ultimately, we want to make sure that everyone gets to experience a little bit. We try to stagger in the set times. So as a first timer, I would tell you, dress up in the themes, there, even if like it's the most welcoming, non-judgmental community in the world. So,
Hmm.
um, you know, be yourself,
Hmm.
go into it with an open mind, an open heart, as cliche as it sounds, and get ready to have honestly the time of your lifetime. Um, you're going to meet some new friends. Some friends are going to be there, after the event. You're going to, hang
Hmm.
out. You're going to go to other festivals, which we love seeing is all the GC fan meetups that happen
Hmm.
across the country and even the world. Jason was just at Tomorrowland, and they did a GC fan meetup, and that's crazy to
Yeah.
think.
Yeah.
Like it's just, yeah, I just open mind, open heart, and just get ready to have a great time. And start saving up for the next one because you
Yeah.
just don't do one. I don't think there's anyone that's
Exactly.
ever been like, all right, I did group cruise, never again.
It's a lifelong commitment. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
It's literally
Oh
a lifelong
no.
commitment.
That's good. You are literally getting welcomed into a family. So I think you painted such an amazing picture. I mean, like this got me hyped. So I cannot wait to attend one day. And I know people, where can people like connect with you guys or find out more information, grab tickets, all that good stuff?
Yeah, so Cabo, I believe we are now under 100 rooms left. I don't know if
Oh,
that's been
okay.
announced yet. I don't know when this is airing, but probably by the time it does
Two
air, it will
weeks.
be
Yeah,
less.
2 weeks.
Okay,
Yeah.
so we're sold out at this
Yeah.
point, I hope. Um, but yeah, you can go to groupcruise.com. There's going to be a landing page. You can either click on Cabo or Miami. Both of them have 2-year payment plans, which
Hmm.
is something that is also really crazy to think that you can buy the
Hmm.
Cabo event ticket the day before we sail and still pay for it over the next 2 years.
That's awesome.
So $60 to go on a cruise. You don't have to worry about it until the next month. You'll pay another
Yeah.
$60. But yeah, you just could select on either landing page, either Cabo or Miami. We're on social media everywhere, Group Cruise. I'm sure my social media will be attached here. You can follow
Mhm.
Jason at Travel Jason. Um, but yeah, just looking forward to introducing Group Cruise to everyone and hope to see SEA you there.
I love it. Skeeter, thank you so much for your time tonight.
Yes,
Hang
thank you
tight.
so much, Emma.
Of course, everybody else, I'll be back in a second with our Rave Culture Cast recap. All right, fam, we made it to the end of the episode here, so you know what time it is. It's time for our Rave Culture Cast recap. So I'm going to take you through all of the latest news, maybe things you might have missed, First and foremost, I'm kicking it off with probably one of the most insane lineups I've ever seen in my life. As a house and techno fan, I wish I could attend this event, but Crossed is putting on a proper New Year's Eve, New Year's Day show with some of the most incredible house and techno artists. It's absolutely fire. It is officially on sale as well if there are any tickets left. And I believe this is taking place in San Diego. You've got Annabelle England back-to-back Mary Drop-ins, Azeka, Chris Lake, Colin, Christoph, Dombreski, Eli Brown, Fisher, Hilo, Hot Since 82, Jamie Jones, John Summit, Cascade, Redo, Lane 8, and Loco Dice, and then Mark Knight, Mau P, Nora and Pure, Sophie Tucker hybrid set, Somi, Tin Liquor, Wade, and Will Clark. The conflicts at this event, I would not be able to deal with it. I want to see every single name in the lineup. There is so many big names on here, and then so many upcoming people that like you guys have to see. Like Mau P is the guy who has the song Drugs from Amsterdam. If you guys know that song, like amazing. I'm jealous if anybody gets to go to this. Grizz also announced at his event, Grizzmas is going to be back again on Friday, December 9th and Saturday, December 10th, with support from, what is that name? I don't even know what that name is. Cannibliss, Rekno, Kiva, and a couple other artists. Dirty Snatcha, that was the name. Could not read his logo. And then Carbon, and that's in Detroit, Michigan. So that is officially going to be happening. Some of you guys might know there's a huge KX5 show coming up, which is Cascade and Deadmau5's Alias, and they announced support from John Summit, which just made that show even bigger, which is insane. So that's going to be wild. Definitely would recommend going to that if any of you guys are in the area. This is kind of like old news, but I don't think I've talked about it on here yet. We do have phase 1 of Ultra's lineup that just like dropped, and obviously, you know, got a big reaction because it's always insane. Like Ultra's probably biggest selling point is their lineup. They invest a lot. So some of the biggest names on there, obviously, you're going to have Carl Cox every year, but you've got Claude Von Stroke. Eric Prydz is doing his Hollow show there, which is going to be absolutely fucking insane. Grimes is playing. Hardwell is back. Hilo back-to-back Test Pilot. KX5. Oliver Heldens back-to-back Chami. Subtronics. Tale of Us. Like, absolute insanity. Plus, you have Swedish House Mafia. The only thing I will say critique-wise is there's, like, literally no women there other than Closey and Rez, I believe. And there's the only person of color is Carl Cox. So Ultra needs to step up their diversity in their lineup, that is for sure. Okay, last two things before I have to go because I literally just had a coughing attack. I unfortunately, from traveling, got a double ear infection. I just found out today, and I'm like literally so congested and dying. So I need to like wrap this up, you guys. We're hopefully feeling better. We got antibiotics, but the only other two things I wanted to say is that Subtronics dropped his much-awaited remix of Galantis's Runaway, You and I, which is super wubby and weird, which is what you would expect from Subtronics. So I just wanted to recommend that track because I saw that all over TikTok. And then the last thing I will say is if you guys are heading to the When We Were Young festival, which is all like rock and alternative music in Vegas, they dropped the festival map. So that is out, which is really cool. I think there's 4 stages total. Yeah, 4 stages. Beatbox is going to be there, so some of my coworkers will be there. We have a little tent, so definitely stop by, enjoy some beatbox while you guys are there, and have the best time ever. My little emo heart is so sad that I'm not going, but we decided to take October to just like take a break before EDC Orlando. So that is everything, you guys. Thank you so much for tuning in this week. Again, you know the drill. Rate, review, subscribe. And the biggest thing you could do is make this your Instagram story. So share the little episode cover to your Instagram stories from Spotify, or share a link on Twitter, whatever you can do. Sharing is caring, you guys. So thank you so much for doing that. I really, really appreciate it. And if you have any questions or episode suggestions or anything else you want me to know, you can drop it in our Facebook group community, drop it in our server on Discord. We have a channel called Episode Suggestions. So again, get those listener submitted stories in for those 2 topics. And I think that's pretty much it, you guys. I hope you all have an amazing week, and I will see you next Wednesday with a new episode. Bye, guys.